When we look up at our night sky, it's very obvious that the universe is moving very slowly. One human lifetime is barely considered a blink of an eye compared to the scale of the cosmos. But in tonight's episode of Astronomical Curiosities, I've captured something very special: the universe in motion. Join me as we venture into the Garden of Galaxies and marvel at the dance of the dwarf planet Ceres, as it takes this mysterious detour to see the sights before carrying on in its journey around the sun. We'll come across hamburger galaxies, galactic smiley faces, supermassive black holes, and with the help of a $200,000 telescope in Chile, we'll image this spectacular dwarf planet transit the spiraling arm of one of the most beautiful galaxies in our night sky. I'm Damon Scotting, and this is Astronomical. Ceres is the second largest dwarf planet in our solar system, right behind you-know-who. It lives in the asteroid belt amongst a group of similarly dull, grey, oddly shaped pieces of rock, and given that its size is smaller than even that of our moon, little old Ceres doesn't get much attention. But in tonight's episode, it will be the start of the show, since it's expected to outshine trillions of stars as it dances through our night sky. So let's get started as we follow Ceres on this spectacular journey as it wanders in between a garden of galaxies filled with odd shapes and trapdoors. Right, so with our dwarf planet, same as normal planets, we expect them to just move across our night sky in a straight path. Why wouldn't they? Well, planets get their name because they do something fairly strange. The name planet comes from the Greek word for wanderer. So these were stars that wandered throughout our night sky. With a star, you'd expect its path across the night sky to be the same as all the other stars and just sort of move in the same motion year round, not much change. But with planets, something rather unique happens because they move in a retrograde motion. And what that means is they effectively move across our night sky, reach a certain point, come back on themselves, and then go back in the same direction they were originally traveling. And the reason this happens is because we are either catching them up in their orbit around the sun, or they are catching us up. Mercury in retrograde has recently become synonymous with astrological fortune telling. Many people today try to justify their bad moods by the fact that Mercury is in retrograde. Naturally, the movement of the planets may seem a bit odd to us when they decide to change their minds and go the other way briefly, but this is all simply due to the fact that we orbit at different rates. The closer you are to the sun, the faster you orbit. So anyone who isn't orbiting at the same rate as you will appear to do this little wiggle. In fact, we will also move in retrograde from the perspective of other planets, but I bet the likes of Saturnians and Martians don't blame their behaviours on the Earth moving in retrograde. The region of our night sky that Ceres is moving in retrograde around is quite unique, as it is one of the most densely populated galactic regions in our night sky, with many marvellous wonders, and due to Ceres' orbit, many close encounters. Splash. What's really interesting, what makes this video so special, is the fact that the path at which it is moving comes across a garden of galaxies. The way I first found out about Ceres coming very close to all these galactic monstrosities was because earlier on in the month of November, it actually came very close to the Leo Triplet, which is a collection of 3 gravitationally related galaxies, and they look very stunning, one of which is referred to as a hamburger galaxy, which is kind of cool. It passed very close to that from our point of view here on Earth, but then a couple months later it eventually performed pretty much a loop around all of these galaxies and then start heading on, following very similar to its original path. So it almost takes a tour of this garden of galaxies, and I think that's really special. What I'm now going to show you is an image that I took recently of this exact field, and the total resolution came out being around 60 megapixels. Yeah, I really like the look of this. So without further ado, this is my Garden of Galaxies. As you can see already, we have some very familiar shapes, even though we shouldn't see that when looking up at a random arrangement of galaxies and stars in our night sky. The first thing your eyes may be drawn to is this smiley face located down here. And if you need any help visualizing that, allow me to just draw an outline surrounding these galaxies. There we go. Kind of looks like an alien's head. I think this galaxy up here is actually its top hat. So we can focus on many of these faint points of light in this image, which are all galaxies, and you don't need reminding, but these are collections of hundreds of billions of stars, incredibly vast objects. I want to turn our focus to the bottom of this image, where you'll see a very fuzzy patch of light. It's not very distinct in its shape or features whatsoever. In fact, if you're looking around this actual image, you're going to find a lot more interesting points, but this is exciting because this is Messier Object 87. And the reason it's special is because recently we took our first ever image of the very core of this galaxy. This is where we have taken our highest ever resolution image of a black hole. However, this is no ordinary black hole. Not that I'm sure there is such thing as an ordinary black hole. Its colossal size is truly mind-blowing. On the left we have Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the centre of our galaxy. And from our point of view they look about the same size, but perspective is everything. Let's bring M87 to the same distance and then take a brief moment to quietly have an existential crisis. Nothing matters. M87 eats galaxies like Sagittarius A for breakfast. That's right, the biggest black hole in our galaxy by far is barely even a speck of dust compared to this gargantuan monster. So yeah, given that context, when you watch Ceres orbit around this galaxy and then come up towards the left, orbit past M91, and then come to the top where M100 is, you might think it's a very dangerous journey to make when you come next to one of the largest black holes that we're aware of. But Ceres does not appear to come anywhere near these beautiful beasts. It does, however, have a close encounter with M91, which I did just about capture, but I made the mistake of imaging this fast-moving dwarf planet in different coloured filters. Ceres does not have time for this nonsense, it's on a mission, so when stacked, my final resultant image looked rubbish. Lesson learnt just in time for the main goal of this project, the transit of M100, the blow-dryer galaxy. And with that being said, let's now take a look at the images I've captured. I decided to keep the exposure time relatively short and only image in luminance. I'll then overlay each of these individual images over a colour image I took a few nights earlier. This should produce an uninterrupted series of Ceres images showcasing the final stop of its grand galactic tour before disappearing behind the sun for another 6 months. And here we go. You are witnessing a dull grey rock less than 1,000 kilometers in size outshine a gargantuan, spiraling starburst galaxy, 60% larger than our own Milky Way. The blow-dry galaxy is 1 quadrillion times the diameter of Ceres, the dwarf planet. For a few hours, which in terms of the universe is a cosmic blink of an eye, hundreds of millions of solar systems were obscured from our vision by this tiny piece of rock. If you enjoyed this video and would like to further explore the images that I've taken over the past few months during Ceres' incredible journey for yourself, then you can download them by clicking the link below, all for the low cost of nothing. They're absolutely free. Yeah, I'm never going to charge anyone for these images. I think they're really cool and they deserve to be accessible to all. Feel free to message me on Instagram and let me know if you've discovered anything unusual in your garden. Sorry, in my garden of galaxies, not in your garden, or if you want to talk about how weird and wonderful some of the galaxies look in this image. I'm very excited about one of my future videos in which I've converted some of the names of my Patrons and YouTube donators into coordinates for our night sky, and then pointed some very expensive telescopes at these locations. Some of the images captured some really cool stuff. Others caught pretty much nothing except for a, sorry, no spoilers, so if you'd like to watch that video and more, then make sure you are subscribed. I'm Damon Scotting, and this was Astronomical.